is let's just imitate whatever's popular in the secular world. And that, of course, is a suspiciously worldly approach to radical religion. Here's what troubles me about that whole mentality. To call something radical is, by definition, to say it's extreme, or it's a significant departure from everything that is simple and ordinary and customary and conservative or conventional or commonplace. And that is not how Scripture portrays true religion. James 1:27, pure and undefiled religion before God and our Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Now, to be fair, there is a true sense in which the life and teachings of Christ were a deliberate rebuke to the legalistic Pharisees and the extra-biblical traditions that they followed. And so you could say Jesus was radical in that limited sense. I would even agree with that. Jesus also made many demands on his disciples that have a distinctly radical sound to them. Luke 14:26, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Matthew 10:35, I came to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be the members of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. That sounds pretty radical. And Jesus said this to the rich young ruler, Mark 10:21, go and sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. That is definitely radical. But you understand, I hope, that when Jesus says things like that we need to hate our parents, or forsake everything we own, or take up our cross and follow him, he is speaking in relative terms there. Literally, to hate your parents would be a violation of the fifth commandment. Honor your father and mother. Literally, carrying a cross around would be an impediment to most callings. Jesus was not advocating here a freak lifestyle. He was instructing his followers on how they should order their affections, what they love. He was demanding to be first in priority in our love and our loyalty. He was not saying that if you don't literally abandon everything you own and live like a homeless person, then you're just not being radical enough. That is not what he was saying. So let me be clear. It is quite true that the gospel makes some shocking and unsettling demands on us, and the faithful Christian needs to think in a markedly different way and live in a way that sets us far apart from the typical worldly lifestyle. There's a true sense in which Christianity itself is radical in its repudiation of worldly and self-centered values. Christ's true disciples are not supposed to float along with the drift of worldly culture. And in that very narrow sense, we are called to a radically different lifestyle and a radically different set of values. But if you take your notion of what radical living is supposed to look like from certain irresponsible teachers, if you think you have to grow dreadlocks and get neck tattoos in order and live in poverty in order to be truly pious, you have a severely skewed idea of what faithfulness to Christ entails. In fact, let me say it like this. It is our worldview and our values and our affections that are supposed to be radically different from the world. The point is not that we should aim to shock traditional church people by the way we dress and the way we behave. And according to this psalm, the labor and the home life of the ordinary believer is not supposed to be radical. Simplicity is what epitomizes godly living. While the blessings God promises are extraordinary in the joy and the pleasure they bring, the truth is God's most sublime blessings are anything but radical. And the fact